Alright folks, let's get a move on. So I've got 3 talks to go through. I'm going to give you a quick news roundup. Peter's going to talk about, what do you call it, UPyTester or MicroPython?
UPyTester.
UPyTester, so it'll help you do some hardware in the loop testing, so I'll let Peter explain that. And Damien's going to talk about something. I think he's actually preparing it now. So, anyway, something is as much as I can get out of him. Well, speaking of Damien, the PyBoard D has come out in the last little while, since the last time we met. I've got a little stack of hardware. One of those is a PyBoard D. So for those that aren't aware, Damien's the creator of MicroPython. He's also had the PyBoard out for many years now. And this has been the long-awaited replacement for it. So it's a tiny little board, STM32 F7. Comes in a couple of different configurations, but a fair chunk of RAM and flash. One of them has high-speed USB. They all have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Plenty of GPIO, heaps of peripherals. Really neat sort of. Well, I should let Damien talk about this later. But yeah, really cool boards. Kind of looking. Where else we go? Season of Docs is an initiative by Google to try to get open source projects documented better. So we've applied to go through that process. What happens is that they tie open source projects with technical writers. So we've applied for assistance in that regard. Google will pay a stipend to the technical writers. They'll work on the project for 3 months. So we've just submitted a proposal for that. Some of the things we've talked about, there's a proposal you can go look at. We've got like 10 different ideas. We've tried to detail what we think a writer could do to help the project. Things like restructuring the documentation a little bit so that it's really clear what's common across all ports and what's port specific. Getting started guides, some tutorials, some actual developer documentation. A lot of that stuff's not documented particularly well. So we're hoping that we'll get that approved. We should know in the next week or so. So that's a really good initiative, I think. Sion, where are you? Sion started putting together some MicroPython video tutorials. So there's 3 of them so far. It's really from the ground up. If you haven't done any MicroPython at all, the first video is right from ground floor. And he's releasing more soon, I think, maybe.
Before was in the works.
No, there you go, okay. So, but they've come really well, so I think
they're not teaching you how to code, like you need to know how to code, but they teach you how to code in life. Yeah. And it's based around the ESP getting to specifically. So
that's really cool. Lego loves MicroPython. So recently Lego announced that they've just started supporting MicroPython for their, I think it's called the Mindstorms brick, the EV3. So it's a Linux little box that we now run the Unix port on. But they've also announced that they're going to be updating some of that hardware to run a 100 meg. I'm not sure, they haven't been a little light on the details really, so I haven't heard all of it. But they'll be running bare metal MicroPython, it looks like. That's looking to come out in August. So I don't know if you know any more details.
I don't have much more details.
Yeah. Anyway, they've got good documentation, they've got good support for a bunch of all the Lego motors and all this kind of stuff, so some good support in there for it. So,
it's not like a kit you buy in the shops though, it's like an education.
Yeah, it's like their Steam kit for classrooms.
You have to go through their education channels to purchase it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe the hackerspace can get some.
Yeah.
I really want to get my hands on one. So I love Lego and I love MicroPython. So take my money. Should mention PyCon's coming up. PyCon AU is in Sydney in, was it August? Yeah, early August. So the call for proposals has just gone out, just opened a little while ago. It closes in a couple of weeks, May 5th. So if you're thinking about giving a talk at a PyCon, it's a really good environment to do so. I'm hoping to put a proposal in. I haven't yet, but I'm hoping to talk about something about MicroPython. And this year they always have 4 different specialist tracks on the Friday. This year they've got education, Django, security and privacy, and science and data. So if you're also interested in any of those niche topics, knock yourself out. They're really good days. for those that haven't been, there's like the specialist track runs on Friday typically, Saturday and Sunday are general Python stuff, and then usually the Mondays for like sprints or something like that. So, but the core part of the conference is Saturday and Sunday. So, it's a really good event. I thought I'd put together a few bite-sized chunks because these talks were getting a bit long. So just quickly, EMV Cam H7. I was hoping to have one tonight, but hasn't shipped yet. It's on its way. It should be in the next couple of weeks. They look like a really nice board. They've got a camera on them, running MicroPython natively. STM32 H7. It's a really powerful little device. Can do things like facial recognition, or facial detection, I should say, blob tracking, QR code detection, all that kind of stuff, and all in MicroPython, which is pretty nice. Moving on to the Humble Bundle. For those who haven't come across the Humble Bundle before, they usually package a whole bunch of books, games, things, and give it to you for a fairly low price. This one's useful for perhaps this audience because it's electronics and 3D printing, and you can get 5 books for like $1.40, all the way up to, I think if you pay $25, you get the whole set, which is $20. Neat device with e-ink and an NRF52. They're a really cool device in any case. Come have a look later. But they've actually got an official CircuitPython support now, which I kind of feel like the gauntlet's been thrown. We've got to get a MicroPython port running on this device because both CircuitPython and MicroPython have an NRF port, so it shouldn't take too much effort. 3 little projects I thought would be interesting to talk about. There's one that's really simple web clock. Just using NTP to synchronize it. There's a good tutorial on how to get that running with a little display. Another one which was from the SHA, some hardware conference, I can't remember which conference it was, but from 2017, some group made an e-ink display with, I think it was ESP32 powered. Anyway, recently someone got a Game Boy emulator running on it on e-ink. Cool.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. You can see this, like it's e-ink, but it's actually updating relatively fast enough to play these things. So that was pretty cool. That's not MicroPython yet, but it could be. So the SHA 2017 badge was designed to run MicroPython, which is why it came across my radar. This one's an ESP8266 with a display, and they talk about how to get MQTT running so you can spit anything out on the display. I thought it was kind of nice too. It's a good write-up. Speaking of ESP32, there is a new ESP32 variant coming along. A bunch of rumours on the web that looks like it's going for even lower cost. It looks like it'll be a single core, probably with USB, probably without Bluetooth, and more GPIO, which is what's cut off there at the end. So yeah, it looks really nice. Kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing more details about that. I've linked here to the ticket that we've got in MicroPython about Bluetooth implementation. It is progressing. For anyone, I mentioned this because people keep asking about Bluetooth and MicroPython. Check out that link. It's to the pull request that one of the members is working on. Damn, that smells good. And I mentioned this another time. The Loadev S76S, which is it's a device which is STM32 with a Semtech 1276 LoRa transceiver on it. Really neat little device, quite small. The creator of that's trying to get MicroPython running on it, but it's going to require a really small build. You can't quite get it down onto the flash size, which is 129K. 192K, and 20K of RAM, so it's going to be really tight, but he's optimistic. No? Damien's...
Yeah, you could do it.
Yeah. Maybe. Also, thought it was worth mentioning Miguel Grinberg. For those of you that don't know him, he's put together the Flask Mega tutorial. So he's also released a book about it. So he was blogging voraciously on Flask, and he has done for a long time. He writes really well and really clearly. He's gotten really excited about MicroPython, so he's just announced that he's going to release a bunch of tutorials. First one should be out in the next couple of days. In fact, he's already released one that sort of talks about what he's going to do and how it's going to hang together. He's going to use the ESP8266 for this. He sounds super keen about it, actually. So it's good. He's also working on a web server library for MicroPython as well. He's calling it MicroDot. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what comes out. And I also thought it was pretty interesting that Ray Ozzy's looking at Python on embedded devices. Now, for those that don't know, Ray Ozzy was the guy who followed Bill Gates at Microsoft in terms of he was the chief software architect for many years. He was also the guy who sort of led the team to doing the Azure stuff online. He's been around for forever. But he's also noticed that the APIs differ a bit between CircuitPython, MicroPython, CPython in various areas. So he's kind of calling us out on that, which we're trying to fix. And finally, there's been a couple of CoinCell ESP32s, Mike Rankin's, which I've got here. I think these are interesting because they're getting smaller and smaller. So that's the little CoinCell powered ESP32 little display on it. And this one's an even smaller one by the Femtoduino guy, Alex. Which is, I think it's saying 18 mil diameter. It's pretty small. Yeah, let's just thought that was cute. And Sion, the Tiny Picker update now. So we've had a bit of activity there.
There's always activity.
Sure.
There's no end.
Did you want to quickly show off?
Yeah, just quickly, yeah.
What's that going?
Just showing and just show it off. Yeah, I'll be quick. It smells awesome.
It's hard to compete with that smell.
So Tiny Pico, for those of you that, does anyone here know what Tiny Pico is? No. Nope.
Who doesn't? I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Tiny Pico is a project I started because Matt dared me. It's an ESP32 development board, and the idea was, can we build the smallest possible fully featured ESP32 development board that can run MicroPython really well. That's how it started. And that is the end result. That's obviously with header pins on it. So it's under 18 by 32 millimeters in size. It's got an extra 4 meg of PSRAM on the back. It's got full battery charging and everything else. Onboard dot star, like an RGB LED. So it's a fully featured board, and it's the smallest ESP32 development board on the market. And so the idea was just to build this and then launch a crowd supply campaign. But then I kind of decided to make my life hell and started designing some shields for it. And then I don't have any more here. I've got a proto board and stuff. And so I've got stuff like, for instance, a Grove shield, so which gives you like a hub by I2C. So you've got 3 ports, and you can also put a 90-degree header on there to break out I2C, so you can use all the M5 stack I2C devices for it. And I made sorry, that's stuff everywhere in here. Little RTC, battery backed up RTC shield. And it uses an MCP 7940N, which is really cool because it only takes 1.2 microamps power, full stop, even when it's running, which is great. So no point building a low powered board and then sucking all the juice away with that. I've got now an audio shield for it as well. So it's got a little amp and a magnetic buzzer on there, and you've also got the option to put external speakers with a mechanical switch to switch between them. Obviously a little side-by-side shield. Working on I/O expander shield gives you an extra 20 I/O for them at ADCs and 16 on the GPIOs. So anyway, I've really gone to town on all different types of shields, which has completely slowed me down. But yeah, launching soon, TM, because every 2 weeks I say it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks, and I reckon I'm still about 2 weeks away. But yeah, all this is going to be launching on House Supply really soon. But the Tiny Picos are done, and I've been making them. And I'm just finalising all of the shields, and I've got a few more ideas, like a little IPS LCD, colour LCD shield, but I don't think I'm going to mass produce those because they're really hard to make. Yeah, so we're super close. Oh, and it's in black now. Yes, matte black on everything, which is a pain, because for those of you that haven't worked with matte black before, it leaves disgusting flux residue. It's really visible.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
You can't see it on a green board.
The matte black boards are awesome.
Right, so now I have to not only build them all, but then run them all through ultrasonic cleaners and dry them, which takes hours and hours and hours. Anyway, whatever. but it's worth the pain because they look really good in black. So
Okay, there's all the stuff here. This channel.
yeah, I'm happy to show
Happy
anyone
to
if they
talk
want to see
about it,
and show you stuff working and talk about it more if you want to. Yeah, thanks.
I think that's what else we got. Oh yeah, quick happy birthday to MicroPython. So on Monday I think it is. Danny, can you confirm that? 29th?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 6 years old. So it's awesome. It's come a long way in 6 years. Isn't it?
I'll talk a bit about that.
Okay, good. I'll skip over that.
Oh, thanks.
And that's it for me. I just want to say that we've had a couple of requests for a few different talks. One of them to compare the ESP32 and the ESP8266 because it's not clear to people, so we'll try and get that covered next month. And even to talk about MicroPython, CircuitPython, PyCom, and all the various organisations that are playing in that space. It might be useful to spend 5 minutes talking about that. But let me know if there's any other topics you'd like covered. It's hard for me to gauge interest if we want more beginner topics or deep dive stuff, so come let me know. On that, how about we get into some pizza because that smells good.